In terms of conversations, the NATO meeting seemed a success. You know, in the terms of percentage of GDP, not so much, as countries that have only been spending 2% of GDP on their militaries are now finding themselves with a 5% obligation. So a lot of money to find.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Of course, there will be some nations who will try and work it and make sure that they will not reach that commitment.
Mm.
Rogue nations that will,
Yeah.
hide things and
Yeah.
jiggle things around.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, the UK looks to be one of the rogue nations.
Mm.
There you are. British Prime Minister is wanting to lump in money already spent, like money sent to the Ukraine and money spent on Diego Garcia, on that fiasco, as part of the military expenditure.
Yeah.
Of course, this will not only brass off the top brass of the military, but when Daddy gets to hear about it, we all know who Daddy is, we'll wait until he gets home.
Mm.
Lord Blunkett, former Works and Pensions Minister, said yesterday that Keir Starmer needs to watch his step as votes of no confidence may be coming his way. Now, if he can hear this in the other place, he's a lord,
Yes.
then MPs must have been shouting it from the rooftops of the Commons building.
Mm.
Blunkett said that if Starmer's bill about cutting benefits of disabled people gets voted down next Tuesday, it could be the last bill that Starmer would be able to present to the House as Prime Minister ever again.
Mm.
His advice to the Prime Minister: pull the bill before the vote.
Mm.
Of course, this is a good possibility because Keir missed the U-turn Starmer said at the NATO summit that the vote will go ahead. Now, I don't know if he said that after speaking with Donald Trump and so was influenced by a true, respected, powerful leader, or if it was because his personal advisor doesn't like him. Well, at the end of the day, who does?
Mm.
He claims that he can read the room, which just by saying that shows that he can't read the room.
Mm. That's like, yes, news to me, but yeah.
So after the long list of U-turns and deceptions of his government policies,
Mm.
he might just be living on political borrowed time. I mean, if Lord Blunkett can see the writing on the wall, who other than Starmer can't?
Mm. Yeah.
And Lord Blunkett's blind.
Okay. Yes. I always quite liked Lord Blunkett. Didn't agree with everything he said, but I always quite liked him. Yeah, not because of any deficiency. Yeah, he used to put a good case forward, even if I disagreed. Um, yeah, now he's a seasoned politician. He knows he can see things, like you say. Yeah. Sometimes people who have got a deficiency elsewhere have other developed senses. I think he's got quite a good political sense about things. Yeah. Um, it is. Um, I don't think Starmer is in touch with reality. I'm going to put it bluntly. Um, I think the man is deluded, arrogant. Okay, you got to have a certain amount of arrogance to be a leader. I admit that. Yeah, but he does seem to have um, a certain belligerence. I think he looks down upon people around him as the little people, let alone coming down to the level of us. Yeah. Um, I personally think yes, there will be a challenge for the leadership of the Labour Party. I really can't see any candidates I would prefer to be in there.
Well,
Yeah.
Rayna's got to do something other than what she's doing, of course.
Well, let's imagine. Okay, I'm going to move a little bit away from this subject. Okay, we know about this bill going through and the possible disaster it's going to be. Yeah, the 130 or how many 70. I don't know how many politicians are signed up to it now. I've not kept up.
123.
123. Yeah. So yeah, that's a big chunk going against him, which is a worrying trend for any leader of a major political party. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean they're all worried about their positions as well. These politicians, I don't believe that they're yeah. Or they can read the writing they can read the writing on the wall. Or what's happening in the room. Um, Maybe they're trying to get across to Starmer. The thing is, he is so arrogant that he said, "Well, I've announced it now. We have to do it." Yeah,
I don't think it's arrogance, Mark. It's just he just can't see.
yeah. Well, Um, I would prefer it to be the leader of the country to suffer arrogance and be stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, it's it.
Well, you might have got a bit of both on this one.
I'm not going to dive down into percentages. I'm not going to do a character analysis on Starmer. Yeah.
What character?
Well, that's the other issue as well. But yeah, okay. Um, I've always said he's a technocrat. Yeah. I mean, he might be a very good lawyer. He might be a good technical lawyer making cases technically in the back room, for all I know. Yeah. He's living in his own world a bit. Yeah. He can make good cases. And he used to, yeah. Okay. Um, I think if I was to do a character assessment and say somebody's in the wrong job, I give he Keir Starmer. Totally in the wrong job. Yeah. Though I think he'd make a mess of sweeping the street. So, um, yeah. Um, uh, okay, maybe I'm judging the man unfairly. Maybe he's got good reasons to be acting the way he's acting in the real world, let alone Starmer's world. But yeah, um, I'm. But I do think there will be a challenge for the leadership. I think it's coming. Um, the fact that seasoned politicians can see it, of his own party, people I'd have thought would have been allied to him, although the Labour Party has changed since Blunkett's time. Whatever we used to think about the Labour Party of past, they were still competent, sensible people who could have a balanced debate or understand people. Yeah. If Blunkett came onto this podcast now, we could probably have quite an interesting conversation with him, even if we didn't agree with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And yeah, I honestly believe that's what's lacking in the present Labour Party, being able to have a reasoned a reasoned debate with these people. They are so belligerent. It's our way. I mean, let's be honest. They're trying to close down. I won't say free speech, freedom of expression. They're trying to close down being able to say anything about them by accusing us of being isms and extremisms and everything else. Yeah, and that's just not Starmer. That is people around him as well. You question Rachel from accounts, her credibility, and she's the arrogant.
Once again, what credibility?
Well, that's it. But yeah, she says, I don't mind being called Rachel from accounts. I don't think you've seen the irony there, love. You know. um, okay, Angela Rayner. I mean, there's every reason I should have support Angela Rayner. She comes from a similar background from myself. Um,
I imagine that Angela Rayner would be saying, "Look, I've been called worse than no brainer," and I would say, "Yeah, I'm sure you have, love."
none of which is meant as a compliment. Yeah. Um, yeah, I could. Yeah, I mean, yes. If I saw Rayner, yeah, okay. I'm not going to judge anyone. I mean, she must have some intelligence to get to where she got to. I'd imagine. You know, she's tapped up the right people, spoken to the right people, said the right things, done the right things. Um,
Take a leaf out of Kamala Harris's book. Said nobody.
yeah,
Said nobody.
yeah. I know Carmen Harris is what people have named her, and I wasn't going to say it on this podcast, yeah, because she's history now. Yeah, Carmela Harris is history now. But yeah, consigned as much. It's cost people $1 billion, but yeah. Um, it's how can I put it? Yeah, I think Starmer's days are coming to an end. Um, disregards whether he pulls this bill next week. And obviously, we've just mentioned in another podcast, or there's another podcast we've published this week that says other bad things are happening around him. I'm actually going further. I mean, I think, yeah, people are talking about general election coming. I think that's an interesting thing. I think it'll be a little bit destabilizing for the UK at this particular moment to have a general election, but it might be necessary. It does worry me how that would play out. But yeah, that remains to be seen. See what happens next week. I wouldn't be at all surprised if it does get pulled. I think the bill will be pulled. I cannot see. I mean, I know these politicians are signing up for an amendment. If now Starmer gives in and gives them an amendment, that means he's lost authority in
Yep.
his mind, let alone anyone else's. Yeah,
Ah, in anybody's mind.
yeah. Um, which means he's not a credible leader. The unfortunate thing is probably the best that we can see they've got. um,
I'd describe him not as being a credible leader, but an incredible leader, but for all the wrong things.
yeah. Well, I think we've just sort of said this whole administration is incredible. You can't give credibility. When
Credibility.
whenever they say anything, you think that is just incredible.